The Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists has begun a partial strike and issued a one-week ultimatum to the Health Ministry to rectify all anomalies with their salaries on the single spine pay policy, or it will go into a full-blown strike. The group says several attempts to get past and present administrations to address the issue and others bordering on autonomy for lab scientists have all proved futile. JoyNews' Charity Emihel Bartels has more in this report.
From today, May 21, you will not have access to lab services in government hospitals across the country after 5 p.m. Till Friday, if government does not heed the concerns of the association, you won't have access to the services throughout the day from next week, starting from Monday, May 29. President of the association, Dr. Ignatius A.N. Awinibonu, says despite the critical nature of their work, such as blood matching, kidney test and organ test, disease surveillance among others, lab scientists in the country are denied better conditions of services.
A normal situation would be for us to come to work. By this time we should be working. So if we are not working, it's not normal. It is because we have been compelled. This is not something we have wished. We are gentlemen who like to work in our corner to produce results, quality results. We should be worried as in it because these are things that are long known by our employees and our employers and our management. Even when you take a blood sample, the exposure of the blood sample is done in the laboratory. We are exposed to those dangers.
Dr. Awinibonu says the association has taken cognizance of the severe impacts of their strike action on their patients, but suspects foul play in the manner in which the Health Ministry as well as the hospital administration has been handling their issue.
Most of the tests, about close to 40–50% of them cannot be done here. Why? A number of reasons. No reagents because suppliers have not been paid. 2, people prefer to staff the labs so that they can shuttle the samples to their private labs to make money. If they rush you to the theater, they want a potassium in the night, we can provide it. We've had people dying here because they've not had potassium results. And in the night, that private lab which they rely on doesn't work. And they report this and cover these matters secretly. So it is time we are no longer play the diplomacy. We have exercised maturity and diplomacy, and I think it's high time the world knows.
Deputy Chief Biomedical Scientist at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Thomas Dankwa, tells JoyNews the prolonged reluctance of government and the Health Ministry to constitute a directorate to address their concerns is worrying.
The condition of service, we've gone, our other colleagues have had years being paid. But as and now, since the time their own was paid up to now, none of us have even received anything, and we're still working. If you go around, you realize that if you go into our washroom right now, you realize that it is not the best of conditions.
Some of the agitating members of the association shared their frustrations with JoyNews.
We are trying to demonstrate today so that the laboratory can have self-autonomy. But because we are not represented up there at the top management level, somebody else takes decisions for us. And if the person doesn't have you in their interest, they will just run you down. It's like tint the cat black and kill it. And so you see that the laboratory has been inefficient.
Basically what we are asking is simple. 1, we want a directorate. 2, we want to run our own affairs, we want our own accounts. And we want to rectify the anomaly on the single spine. Basically those are the 3 things we are asking for. Is that too much to ask? No. That is all. No.
The Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists says it is hopeful that government and the Health Ministry will positively engage leadership of the association during the one-week partial strike, but threatens to embark on total withdrawal of emergency services, including surveillance report, blood bank, and national projects and services from 29th of May 2018. Charity Emihel Bartels reporting for JoyNews.
And I've just been joined in the studio by Timothy Abuaji-Mensah, who is the Kolebu Chapter Secretary. Mr. Abuaji-Mensah, thank you very much for coming to the studio today. So you and your members want to stop providing lab services from 5 p.m. today, and then from next week, if you don't hear from government, you're going full-blown.
Yes, please.
How is that fair to the people of Ghana?
We have the people at heart. That is the very reason why we are pushing for this. you don't hear lab scientists going on strike. If you recall, we are the last group of people who goes on strike in the health sector. We've engaged government severally. Our national leadership have also engaged government a lot of times. And even recently, they've engaged the Minister of Health 3 times. But it looks like our plight is not being adhered to because they don't take the laboratory service as serious as the other health
You
sectors.
think that they're taking you for granted?
Yes.
You talk about engaging with the minister. Who engaged with the minister and what did they talk about?
It's about 3 main things. We talk about the placement issues at the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. 2012, that's 30th January 2012, the then Deputy Health Minister, Dr. Robert Nino, he signed a letter, and then recently to the Director of Health, that's Dr. Anthony Nsiasa, this is the CTA, he also gave a feedback as to the rectifier of the anomalies that has been identified.
Okay,
but
now let's do it
wages,
this way. Help us understand what sort of anomalies you're talking about. You're getting less than you think you deserve?
Yes, because you look at it, we argue that looking at the risks and then our qualification, we merit a higher pay than what we have been put on. Okay. But we are made to understand they have to place that as analogous level with our nursing
on the single
colleagues
spine.
On the single spine. And we said, okay, fine, let's do that. That one too, it has been rectified. A letter has been given for it to be rectified as of 2012.
Okay.
But the Fair Wages and Salary Commissions, they are not taking the laboratorians seriously. So they've failed to rectify it.
Since 2012.
Yes.
Maybe I can have a very quick look at this document you have here. But in the meantime, you raise salary issues concerning your salary. You also talk about creation of an account.
Yes.
How is that essential to the service you provide? Creation of an account?
Yes. You look at the health sector, we have a pharmacy drug account. That is a revolving account. And then you look at the laboratory service, we generate a lot of the funds in the hospital. But it's unfortunate that when it gets to time for us to get the funds that we've generated to retool the lab, we are told there's no money. So where is the money that is being generated from the lab? Where is it going to? And it's not fair that the lab will generate the resources and the very people who are generating the resources are being deprived of the things that they need to work with. So we think there should be a dedicated account like we have for a drug account for the pharmacy, so that at every point when you walk into the lab, you not be turned away that we can't run this service, not because the people don't have the requisite qualification or knowledge to do it, but because there's lack of funds.
That makes a lot of sense. But isn't that more of an internal issue? About account creation and who manages the account and who has access to that account? Isn't it an internal hospital issue? What has government got to do with that?
This is not an internal management issue. This is something that is nationwide. You go to a lot of the regional, the teaching and then district hospitals, you are going to find this problem persisting. So it's not Kwalebu per se, it's a national issue.
Okay, for the entire
structure, the entire structure in the nation, we don't have a persistent or dedicated account for laboratory service. So what we are asking for, there should be a dedicated laboratory account.
National account.
So that
for
every
all
facility
government hospitals.
Yes, and
for laboratories in all government hospitals.
For laboratories
so
in all
there's
government
one national account, and all laboratories in government hospitals get to put their money there, and then they can access that amount. Is that what you're talking about?
That is not what I'm talking about.
Explain for me.
I want us to have a dedicated lab account at every facility nationwide, so that if I'm in Kwalebu, I know that we have a dedicated laboratory account.
Okay.
That is solely for reagents and retooling of the lab for equipment and things to get. And then the various teaching hospitals, the district hospitals, and then the regional hospitals should follow that structure. Have that structure so that it will be a national thing.
To what extent have you engaged government on the creation of this account, and for how long?
We've engaged government on this for quite long. As you can see,
I've seen the salary concerns that you raised here, and I've seen this letter says the Chief Executive Officer, Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, that's the addressee, and it says reminder, submission of concerns on single spine grade structure. I've seen that story. It says that you recall that in December 2011, the Health Services Workers Union, by a letter, and it goes on and on, brought to your attention the various disparities in the single spine grade structure with respect to some technical officers, including technical officer, laboratory. It goes on and on. So we're looking at a 2012 letter that was signed seeking, actually giving the ministry a reminder of what happened in 2011. So that concern totally understood. I get it. What I'm asking for is, in terms of the creation of the account, have you engaged government on it, and what did they say?
We have engaged government on it, but like I said, the interest is specifically not in the lab. The interest is specifically not in the lab. We are generating the thing, because if the laboratory service, they have it at heart, this thing wouldn't get there.
That point, hold on for me. That point I understand.
Okay.
What I want to get is whether you have spoken to any government official and what they said. What did they?
We have spoken to, like I said, our national executive has met the minister 3 times.
Okay.
They've spoken on this thing, and in a lot of our communiques that we've released, all these things have come in and it has persisted. But it looks like the lab people are taking for granted.
What did the minister say? Do you know? Did your executive communicate what the minister said to you?
Yes, it looks like the minister may want to act, but there is a force behind. There is a force behind that is pulling hands. There is a force behind that is pulling hands, and the minister is afraid to act because there is a force behind that is pulling the hands of the minister to act.
Okay, now that's some sort of suspicion you have, but you have not given us any details for or any specifics for which reason we be able to believe you. If you say that there are some forces behind, what are they, who are they, and why is the minister afraid of them, as you say?
Okay, for now I don't have the distance, but I can give you the follow-up, the letters, and then the interviews. What went on, and some of the pronouncement by the minister, which make us believe that that is the reason why he doesn't want these things to go on.
Okay, so now you're withdrawing your services starting this evening. Beyond 5 p.m. you say you're not working. Next week, if government doesn't speak to you, or if you don't hear from government, you're going full-blown. So the whole day there won't be any lab services. This is going to have serious implications for people who come to the hospital. Is that fair?
Like I said, it is not our interest, because as I'm sitting here today, I can be a patient tomorrow. I have relatives in other regions.
So what will it take, apart from hearing the minister or hearing from government, what will it take for you to rescind your decision and maybe provide some services?
Provide some services. We are asking for only 3 things. We need a laboratory directorate so that we can manage our affairs. We need a lab account, and then we need a minister to make sure that the salary anomalies that we presented to him have been rectified. There have been a lot of assurances, but nothing has been proven. But if those 3 things are being granted, we are willing to get back to work.
Mr. Aboagye Mensah, thank you very much for your time. I've been speaking to Timothy Aboagye Mensah. He's a Kolebu chapter secretary of the Lab Scientists Association there, and they are saying that they're going on a full-blown strike by next week if they don't hear from government. In the meantime, they're withdrawing their services from this evening from 5 p.m. onwards.